Hey guys, welcome to Moons Out 2026, our annual fantastic night vision rifle match, brought to you by Nocturn Industries, suppliers of all things night vision. If you need anything for your own night rifle setup, definitely check out Nocturn. They've got everything from the basic to the very high end, some really cool quad setups coming out in particular. So this year I decided to shoot in passive division, meaning no infrared light, no infrared laser, just aiming through nods at the target. So our first stage is brought to you by Virginia Citizens Armory. They provided a Humvee for this stage. Stage is called Tail Gunner because throughout this stage we are in the back of the Humvee driving along a trail, shooting at targets as they become available. This is actually a clip of the Humvee from last year, but same Humvee. You'll notice last year we had fantastic visual quality here because it was a pretty bright night out. We had open skies and lots of moon. This year, not so much. We did not, in fact, have so much of the moons out for this year's Moons Out. It was foggy and dark, and you'll see that with a very speckly vision here through the nods. Anyway, this stage, like I said, you sit in the back of the Humvee. As targets become available, you start shooting at them. You can see up in the left corner, I've got my first person view there. That's a Grec recording through one of my nods. And then we have one of our, Davis, our fantastic cameraman, filming me alongside in the back of the Humvee there. So as we're driving along, targets become available. You get a bonus for every hit you get on them. If there's more than one target, you have to alternate between the two of them, so you can't just hammer on one target. What I did here pretty much this whole time was occluded eye gun sight or Binden aim this thing. As you can see, the reticle in my EOTech is a bit too bright. That is an XPS-2. It does not have a night vision setting. So I turned it all the way down. It didn't actually quite look that bright to me. I think I've got it slightly out of focus here. But what I would do is bring the optic up, the rifle up. The rifle, by the way, is a CMMG Banshee 9mm carbine. And one eye saw that bright reticle superimposed over the target. The other eye saw the targets in general, and my brain put those two things together and allowed me to actually make a surprising number of hits. So this is, we have a moving Humvee stage every year, again, thanks to Virginia Citizens Armory, who supplies the Humvee, and Chris from VCA actually does all of the driving of the Humvee all night long for 2 nights of the match. So props to Chris, big thanks to him. Check him out if you're looking for anything cool. But along the driving path here, there are a series of targets that you have to hit. So this really was kind of a Leroy Jenkins style of stage. I had some initial plans for what gun I wanted to bring and run at the match, and all of them fell through for various reasons, which left me with what do I have on the shelf that I can basically throw into a night fighting sort of role. And hey, everyone knows EOTechs are good night vision optics, so I've got an EOTech on the 9mm PCC. Let's give it a whirl. I've got by the way, a B&T suppressor on there as well, a Verse 36, which was nice and quiet. Gun ran perfectly for me through the whole match. It was a bit awkward sometimes getting a physical view through the optic, because again, this is a rifle that was set up for daytime shooting, and it's mounted a little bit lower than it probably ought to be. By the way, the end of the stage here, you get to the end of the road, and then one of the ROs hands you a cannon, which you have to fire downrange. I screwed it up. I actually muzzled down the cannon, and the tennis ball rolled out of it for a miss, giving me a final time of 104.34 seconds. I did get 10 hits on the steel targets, which was definitely better than I expected, although that only gave me a position of 114th overall. Stage 2 is Man Down, sponsored by Q. Q actually donated a pair of boomboxes to our prize table, which was really pretty fantastic. This stage starts with running and shooting on the move down this roadway. There are a series of pistol bays off to the side. By the way, it is raining on us during this stage, and Davis, the photographer, actually kind of does a face plant there, manages to save the camera and catches up with me here. There are poppers in these side bays, and you have to engage them while on the move. You cannot stop to engage them. So I was able to get those, fortunately. Then we continue all the way down into this bay where there is a barricade here. Les, our match director, is calling this the Yari barricade. And there's one target downrange, which we have to engage through every hole in the barricade. This is a little bit simpler. Well, it's actually significantly simpler than the classic VTAC barricade, which is kind of important because with night vision devices, the VTAC barricade can be really difficult to actually get shots through. Now, I was able to see that target downrange. It's a little dim there. The problem that I had was on the very bottom ports, I simply was not able to physically line up the nods with the EOTech on the rifle. And I struggled with this for a little while here. I just couldn't get a clean sight picture. You can see I'm fiddling with the nods. I'm trying to get the rifle at an angle, and it's just, it's a real struggle here. And eventually I just give up and move on. So I tried the lower port there, couldn't quite do it. This one is just high enough that I am able to get everything lined up and get a hit eventually through this side port. This, like, I would have, if I'd spent a little more time planning this out, if I'd wanted this to be more of a dedicated night vision rifle, one of the things I definitely would have done is cool. You can see some lightning there from the rainstorm come through on the nods, which is neat. Anyway, I would have put a taller riser under that EOTech. Bringing it up would have given me more space to maneuver the night vision goggles in there. You can see I'm going to give it one more try here before I just finally give up on it. With a bit of a riser, I would have been able to get these bottom ports without this sort of problem. So we'll do a little bit more struggling here, and then we're going to move on to the next part of the stage. There we go, which is a high value shot from the top of the barricade. The idea of these high value shots is if you only get one chance at them, if you hit, well, if you miss, you get a 60-second penalty. If you hit, you get nothing special. But you pull the magazine and then you make the shot. And so this is a way that we have to ensure that the rifle is clear, and the 180-degree safety rule does not apply after you take that shot. Make another shot at a target with a cannon there, and then we have to drag our man down from this barricade over to the next. This guy is pretty much a full weight dummy. Maybe not really heavy. He's not American weight, but he's like full European weight there. Once we drag him over to the other barricade, we come back and have to make another series of engagements, one hit through each port in the barricade. I'm going to start at the top here because I know I can make those top hits without too much trouble and work my way down. Ooh, more lightning. Work my way down until I get to the bottom ports that just aren't feasible for me. So everything looks really slow when done in night vision matches because there is this extra friction of identifying things, be like you're looking through essentially soda straws. Even with dual tube night vision goggles, everything is still a very restricted field of view, and maintaining safety habits and recognizing like where you are and what you're doing is just a whole extra level of challenge here at a night match. So I parred out, ended up with 3 penalties for targets not engaged. Not as bad as I expected. So that brings us to stage 3, Bug Out, brought to you by Magpul. Obviously, everyone knows who Magpul are. They're pretty awesome. They helped sponsor the match, and we really appreciate it. The theory of this stage was that you are bugging out to your house, and you are ambushed, and all you have in the rifle is a regular truck gun with a white light on it. So we don't have a white light division in this match. It is only active and passive IR or thermal. However, for this stage specifically, you were provided with a truck gun and a single magazine of frangible ammo. It was, of course, a Magpul magazine, and it was engraved with the Moon's Out 26 logo, and all of our shooters got to keep that magazine as a souvenir at the end of the match. But we have this HESCO barrier shoot house here with a series of steel targets in it. Because we have frangible ammo, we can shoot those at very close range, and so you get this really cool, very dynamic room-clearing stage. The Davis, the videographer here, is of course staying a little bit behind me, so you don't get a super great view of the target engagements, but they are very close. We're talking 3 to 5 yard sort of engagements here. We did this sort of stage last year with iron sights and point shooting, and this year we decided to add a white light to the gun. Now, once you clear the shoot house, you then come to this box where you have stashed all of your equipment. So your web gear, your helmet, if you're wearing a helmet, I'm wearing a just a skull crusher type cap. This is an ops core night cap, which is actually really cool. A lot more comfortable than most of the skull crusher head mount sorts of arrangements. Anyway, you can grab your actual rifle and all of your gear. You then have to exit the house with your own rifle and engage the steel targets that are just outside, right around this corner. And that concludes the stage. This was a really fun one. A lot of our shooters really enjoyed this. Having the transition from a white light gun in the dark to grabbing your nods and your own rifle was a lot of fun. So there we go. I actually did, this is one of the stages I did the best on, perhaps because I was the least limited by my own passive shooting setup. This last array of targets was close enough that I didn't really have any trouble engaging them. So you can see they're 41st out of 146 and second in the passive division. Stage 4 is our trench raid, brought to you by Lima 6. They make a belt-fed AR upper that's pretty cool. We had one of those as a stage gun on this stage, although I, unfortunately, did not have the chance to actually get to it because I had a lot of trouble on this stage. This was one of my worst stages. So, got a good view of my rifle there, by the way. CMMG Banshee, I had 30 and 40 round mags for it. Those are the endo mags, so they're a 5.56 magazine body with a 9mm follower stack in them, basically. Anyway, like I said, the gun magazines worked almost flawlessly. I think I had one malfunction during the course of the stage. Anyway, here you're going to drop down into our very cool elaborate trench. There are a series of firing ports that you have to engage a target through. So you have to find a target and hit it 3 times through each of these ports. This is where I had trouble. And it wasn't trouble with the EOTech. In this case, it was trouble actually finding the targets out there in the woods because it was overcast. We had very little moonlight. It was quite dark. You can see the speckling in the main night vision camera there. A little bit less in mine. I think my nods are a little bit better than the one we were using to film. But finding that target in each bay was really hard. In fact, it was this third bay coming down right in there. I was unable to actually find the target. So I'm going to spend some time in here looking for it, trying to find it. The rules for Moons Out, just like the rules for brutality matches, are targets not cleared or not engaged are 60-second penalties. Every miss, I should say, is a 60-second penalty. So if I can't find the target in here, it will be a significant hit. It's one thing to locate steel targets against the plain backstop of a regular shooting bay, but when you've got open forest terrain like this, it's a whole nother level of difficulty to spot targets out there in the dark. I took a couple of recon by fire shots. You know, everything downrange is a safe backstop, but you know, the hope was if I find something that I think might be the target, take a shot at it. If it goes clang, then I know I've found the target. Like I might have been just off to the right of it there, looking back at the footage now. But ultimately, I give up on that one. We continue down the trench where we have a couple more elements in this stage, including lots of watery puddles. So one more shooting bay here. This one was rather easier to find the target. Although I had, again, height over bore issues here. You could see I was actually hitting the ground in front of the rifle every couple of shots. So this is our mortar and our small lake in front of it. I have to say, I had did not get my feet wet. I had Alpina boots on for this match that are waterproof and were fantastic. Like wading around in this thing, feet stayed totally dry. First thing you have to do here is spike the mortar by dropping a flashbang grenade in. Unfortunately, the mortar was full of water from the significant amount of rain, and so the flashbang didn't go off. We then have a thermal stage rifle that you take a shot with at a target downrange that's marked with some hot hand, so that was pretty cool. Then move all the way back down here to the end of the trench. You have one more target to engage. That's a paper Ivan, like enemy Ivan military target. Hit him 3 times, and then you work your way back up the trench. You get to skip the thermal rifle and the mortar. For this one, you just stop at the shooting bays, and you have to re-engage from each shooting bay. In theory, then, once you clear all of those, you get to the final shooting position, which is the Lima 6, and you have a 10-round belt in the Lima 6 upper to dump on a steel target. Unfortunately, I once again was unable to get to that because I stopped in at the third shooting port here trying to find the target, and I didn't spend nearly as much time because, you know, I know it's hard. I don't know where exactly the thing is. I figure it's worth taking another look. But if I spend too much time, like I'm about to, I will in fact run out of time and par out, which is just about to happen here. So the trench is a fantastic piece of terrain that we have at the Echo Valley Training Center where the match took place. Always really cool to see what sort of stages the match director comes up with for it. Anyway, 300 seconds in penalties, which put me at 125th position overall. Not my best stage. Our last stage here, stage 5, is Foxholes. This was a cool new stage concept that Les came up with that was truly awful. I say that in the best possible way. This is a stage that has, well, all of our stages had a 240-second par time. So that's what you're allowed to complete the stage. And we had 2 stages in the match, including this one, that you were required to shoot for the entire 240-second par time. The idea here is there are 3 foxholes that have been dug, and they've been reinforced with pieces of pipe. Got a ladder down each one. You start in the first foxhole. There's 1 target at each foxhole. You have to hit it from the foxhole, but you only get 2 chances. So I'm looking around for the target here. Like, I know it's somewhere. Oh, there it is. And there we go. Made a hit on it. So you make the hit, put your rifle down on the pallet in front, climb out of the foxhole, grab your rifle, run to the next of the 3 foxholes, drop into it, engage its target. When you're done with number 3, you run back up the hill to number 1, and you continue this cycle for the full 4-minute par time. 4 minutes may not sound like a lot until you're doing climbing and sprinting cycles through it. This target, the 3rd foxhole target there, is pretty easy. That one I can spot without any trouble. And away we go, back up the stage here. So the challenge here was, of course, being able to find and hit each target with only 2 shots, 2 opportunities. If you missed twice, you had to move on anyway, so you don't get any rest in this stage. And then, of course, running between the foxholes, paying enough attention to the ground that you don't trip on a root or hit your face on a tree or otherwise plant yourself on the ground. Like I said, it was an awful stage in the worst possible way. This thing totally gassed me out and totally gassed out most of the people. Well, everyone who tried hard on it got gassed out. This is one of those sort of stages where it is left entirely up to you. Like, how hard do you want to push yourself? How well do you want to do? How many cycles do you want to be able to make? If you want to just wimp out and do it slow, you can. That's your prerogative. But the sort of folks who shoot moons out are the sort of folks typically who are going to push themselves above and beyond for this sort of thing. And most of the squads really appreciated it. When we had people who were just on the cusp, you got the ROs would give you calls when you were getting close to the end of the stage. You've got 30 seconds. It's enough time for one more. Do it. And the squads are very supportive of that sort of extra energy and effort at the end of the stage. So that's really one of the fantastic things about Moons Out and about other matches like Lynx Brutality and Finnish Brutality, or just the huge amount of camaraderie and support. This isn't a match that is you against the other competitors in the match or on your squad. This is you against yourself, and everybody's cheering you on to do as well as you possibly can on it. So I ended up actually doing remarkably well on this stage, certainly better than I expected. The targets were just close enough and just visible enough that I didn't have any problem finding them. As you can see, I'm very much slowing down here by the end of the 4 minutes. But I was able to see and engage the targets effectively. In fact, I almost had a clean run on it. I believe, one of these required 2 shots. All the rest I was able to get with my first shot, which I was really happy. Coming out of the end of the first 5 stages, the first half of the match, I was like, this was going a lot better than I had really expected it to go for this sort of last minute passive shooting sort of effort. When we actually got the scores back, I actually didn't do very well at all. but I was expecting to have a lot more parring out. I was expecting to have a lot more targets that I just couldn't see because of the whole, like, not night vision optic, not night vision riser, and no active illumination, despite it being a very foggy and overcast night. So there we go. That is the end of this stage for me. I ended up getting, I believe, 8 complete hits, for 40 seconds of bonus, which put me second in passive and tied for 18th overall, which was a really awesome result that I'm really very happy with. So that's the first half of the match. We've got 5 more stages tomorrow, stages 6 through 10. Definitely tune back in tomorrow to see those. We've got another whole set of really cool, creative, interesting stages. And of course, if you are looking for any of your own night vision gear, definitely check out Nocturn. We really appreciate them being the title match sponsor for Moons Out 2026. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.